everybody. Today we are talking about feedback methods and human-centered design. I'm Christy Kuhn. I'm a program director at the Consortium for Public Education. So what is feedback? Well, feedback methods are the strategies and structures that we use during the design process to enable feedback, to give feedback, receive feedback, and include input on an idea, a product, or a process. We want to help our participants, whether it is adults or students, to see the value of improvement over completion, to practice collaborating, and to engage in the interactive process of design thinking. You are familiar with the design cycle: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. For feedback, we're primarily in the testing phase. We're presenting our ideas, products, or processes, and we're testing these ideas and asking for feedback. So how does feedback fit into the HCD mindset? Well, when we're using the HCD mindset, when we're practicing being human-centered, we want to make sure that our ideas represent more than one perspective. So it's important that we hear from others and receive honest input. This also helps us to practice the iterative process of design thinking. And finally, feedback methods and protocols, they focus on the challenge at hand and how we're serving our stakeholders. And it just puts the focus right there on our stakeholders. So how do we ensure that feedback methods are meaningful? Before I get into a few specific methods and protocols, we want to share some of our best practices with you. So feedback should always be balanced, timely, and kind, specific, and helpful. Balanced feedback can be a little difficult. We have to take the time to provide critiques and identify strengths. It's a lot easier to say, "This is fantastic," or "I don't like this." But that isn't helping anybody grow an idea. We have to practice providing meaningful feedback. We can't just expect to be able to do it right away. So for every critique, try to find a positive. And for every positive, try to find a suggestion to strengthen the work. And part of the beauty of the structures that we suggest when engaging in feedback is that it gives each of the participants time to share thoughtful ideas. Feedback should also be timely. We want to receive feedback in a timely manner before we're too attached to an idea or a concept. If you look at this image, you see the love-time continuum. So if I've been editing a project that I'm working on, and I've been editing for a few weeks with no input from anyone, I'm no longer in the headspace to be able to hear different ideas or suggestions. So we want to ask for and provide feedback early and often. Kind feedback. We always want to use kind words. Snarkiness is not helpful in the design cycle. We want to speak from a place of helping to strengthen an idea, not looking to take down an idea. And specific and helpful. So speaking of helpful, we need to provide specific and helpful feedback. For example, instead of generalized comments, try something like, "This section is really clear. I understand your vision well." And instead of blanket critiques, try, "How would your solution be different if you used a different method?" These each provide a specific example that identifies a strength or gives an idea for addressing a weakness. Finally, this is our advice for encouraging helpful feedback. You want to create psychological safety to signal to our participants that when we're asking for input, we'll be able to hear their ideas and that we're looking for ways to alter our concepts in ways that incorporate their thoughts. It's also helpful to set appropriate expectations and give reviewers a specific lens to use. For example, let's say you're asking students for input on a new school-wide initiative. You could frame your ask like this: "This is a new idea I'm working on, and I'd like your input because I want to make sure this is something that you, as students in our school, are interested in. Can you help me make it more student-centered? What am I missing because I'm not in your shoes? I can't promise that I'll use all of your ideas, but I will certainly read and consider them all. And once I get to the next phase, when I share this with the community, I'll be able to point to what parts of this idea came directly from you." So, how do I choose a feedback method? Well, when it comes to choosing a feedback method, think about what exactly you're looking for and who your participants are. Are you working with a group that has never provided feedback? Or are you working with a group who's pretty good at communicating balanced, kind, and specific feedback? And do you want this feedback to be done anonymously and maybe quietly and quickly? Or do you want to work with folks one-on-one? Or do you want a discussion-based method? So in this table, we show the 3 different ways that you can engage in feedback: anonymously, one-on-one, or in a group. You can see that the one-on-one and group methods are discussion-based. This also requires more communication skills and more trust between participants. Remember psychological safety. That is key to the discussion-based methods. When we're asking people to verbally provide feedback or to sit and listen to others as they provide feedback, we have to trust that we're not going to be attacked, that no one is going to be defensive, and that we can all have an open discussion. So let's review. Remember, feedback in the design cycle is about helping us to test and strengthen our ideas. It's about embracing the iterative process of the design cycle and allowing others to provide input from their experience and knowledge. Some of the structures may seem a little heavy-handed, but they allow for equitable participation and they allow individuals time to think and then speak. While we're engaging in these methods and protocols, we are not only providing helpful ideas to our colleagues, but we are also practicing our communication and collaboration skills, and we can never get too much practice in those areas. Thank you.